not finish till we're all proud.
Did your confidence in Rob ever waver? It looks like this could be another good summer, but did your confidence during this whole ordeal ever waver?
I mean, it's like I've always had confidence in Rob. It's you know, whatever the speculation is out there, we don't need the outside media to...
What I'm disappointed with Westbrook is I thought he was going to come with all this energy, get the rebound, go coast to coast. We haven't seen a lot of that.
It was supposed to be the ultimate Lakers fairy tale. Magic Johnson, the franchise's favorite son, returning to save the team he loved. But his front office tenure didn't end with a parade. It ended with a sudden, shocking resignation and a trail of bitter silence. For years, the official story has been about health and happiness, but behind the purple and gold curtain, a much darker truth has festered, a truth about betrayal, power, and a grudge that never died. And according to explosive new reports, there's one man in the middle who understands it all, LeBron James. This is the story of the wound that never healed, the owner who never forgave, and the king who walked right into the middle of a decades-old civil war. To understand the depth of the rift, you have to go back to the beginning of the dream. In February 2017, with the Lakers languishing in irrelevance after the Kobe Bryant retirement tour, owner Jeanie Buss made a move that felt like a homecoming for the soul of the franchise. She named her lifelong mentor, friend, and the team's most iconic living legend, Earvin "Magic" Johnson, as president of basketball operations. The press conference was pure joy. Magic's million-watt smile beamed. Jeanie spoke of trust, legacy, and a return to Laker glory. It was portrayed not as a hire, but as a restoration. The prodigal son was back to run the family business. For a brief moment, the magic seemed real. Magic's infectious energy was a shock to the system of a moribund franchise. He famously cold-called free agents. He drafted promising talents like Kyle Kuzma, and in the summer of 2018, he delivered the ultimate coup. He helped secure a meeting and ultimately landed the signature of LeBron James. It was the move that was supposed to validate everything. The legend had brought the king. The Lakers were back. But beneath the surface, the structure was cracking. Magic's style was that of a charismatic rainmaker, not a detail-obsessed executive. He was often absent from the office, conducting business from his home or via phone. He clashed with the more methodical, paperwork-oriented general manager, Rob Pelinka, whom Jeanie had installed as his second-in-command. The front office became a house divided, Team Magic and Team Rob. Reports surfaced of Magic making promises to players and agents that the salary cap couldn't accommodate, leaving Pelinka to clean up the mess. He was a brilliant recruiter operating without an operations manual. The breaking point came suddenly and bizarrely. On the final night of the 2018-2019 season, a disastrous year marred by LeBron's groin injury and locker room dysfunction, Magic Johnson held an impromptu press conference in the hallway outside the Lakers' locker room. He announced his resignation, effective immediately. He cited a desire to return to the fun parts of his life and not wanting to undermine Jeanie by backstabbing people, a clear shot at Pelinka. He hadn't told Jeanie Buss in advance. She was sitting in her office watching her franchise's president quit on television, just like the rest of the world. The betrayal wasn't just professional, it was deeply, profoundly personal. He had humiliated her. He had abandoned the post she had entrusted to him in her darkest hour, and he did it in the most public, chaotic way possible on the night of a crushing season finale. The fairy tale was over. In its place was a public relations disaster and a private wound that, as we now know, would never truly heal. The fracture between the owner and the legend was complete, and it created a vacuum of power and trust into which a new king, LeBron James, would soon arrive, unaware of the silent war he was inheriting.
5% of the team upon his retirement?
He had years left on his contract. And of course, we all know when Magic first retired, it was because of HIV. And so instead of my dad paying off that contract, he gave him a piece of the
I gotta give Magic Johnson a lot of credit for saving Dwayne Wade's life, because Magic made sure he didn't spit on him when they were laughing about that time.
In the ruthless calculus of corporate sports, failure can sometimes be forgiven. A bad trade, a poor draft pick, a losing season, these are the hazards of the job. But what Magic Johnson did in that hallway transcends poor performance. In the eyes of Jeanie Buss and within the code of the family-run Lakers, he committed two unforgivable sins: abandonment and public humiliation. First, the abandonment. Jeanie Buss didn't just hire an executive. She entrusted the most precious asset of her family's life's work to a man she considered family. After the bitter, exhausting battle to gain control of the Lakers following her father's death, Magic was her rock. His acceptance of the role was a validation of her leadership. When he walked away without warning, without a private conversation, without a transition plan, it wasn't a resignation, it was a desertion. He left her standing alone on the deck of a ship he had promised to help steer, just as a storm, the backlash from the disastrous season and the pressure to build around LeBron, was hitting. In her moment of maximum vulnerability, her most powerful ally walked off the job. To a Buss for whom Laker for life is a secret covenant, this was the ultimate breach of trust. Second, and perhaps more cutting, was the humiliation. Magic didn't slip a resignation letter under her door. He didn't ask for a quiet meeting. He staged a surreal solo press conference in the bowels of the arena, turning the Lakers' lowest moment into a chaotic, self-centered spectacle. He forced the owner of the team to find out from ESPN that her president of basketball operations was quitting. This act stripped Jeanie of all authority and agency in the moment. It made her franchise look like a clown show run by impulsive celebrities, not a serious organization. It was an emotional hijacking. The message, intentional or not, was clear. My narrative, my feelings, my exit are more important than your authority, your planning, or the stability of this franchise. This combination, abandonment in a crisis and a public stripping of her dignity, created a wound that no amount of time or PR-friendly reunions could heal. The public smiles at jersey retirements and anniversary celebrations became a necessary performance, a layer of ice over a deep freeze. Magic might have thought he was escaping a job that didn't suit him. Jeanie Buss received it as a personal and professional betrayal from the last person she ever expected it from. And in the high-stakes, ego-driven world of the Lakers, that kind of betrayal isn't forgotten. It's buried, and it waits, silently poisoning the ground for anyone who builds on top of it, which is exactly what LeBron James, the new cornerstone of the franchise, was about to discover.
Man comes to me and say, Magic just stepped down. And I'm like, man, get the out of my face. You. I go check my phone. I look at it. Personally, for me, I came here to be a part of the Lakers organization, having a conversation with Magic. So it was just weird for him to just be like, nah, I'm out of here.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough.
When LeBron James signed with the Lakers in the summer of 2018, he believed he was partnering with Magic Johnson. The legend's pitch was central to his decision. But by the time LeBron's first season in LA ended in injury and disappointment, Magic was gone, resigning in that infamous hallway presser. LeBron was suddenly the lone superstar in a franchise with a fractured front office, a rookie head coach, and an owner nursing a profound, private betrayal. He had arrived to find the palace in the aftermath of a civil war, with the two most important figures, the owner and the legend, locked in a bitter, silent standoff. LeBron, a master of reading rooms and power dynamics, understood the situation immediately. He knew the public story of Magic's departure was a facade. More importantly, he grasped the new unspoken rule. Magic Johnson's name was now a third rail within the Lakers organization. To openly align with Magic, to seek his counsel publicly, or to echo his philosophies would be seen as a direct challenge to Jeanie Buss's authority and a reopening of her deepest wound. The owner had been humiliated once by Magic's independence. She would not tolerate her new franchise player forming a power block with the man who betrayed her. This placed LeBron in an impossibly delicate position. Magic, as a global icon and basketball savant, remained a natural touchstone. They shared an agent, Rich Paul of Clutch Sports. They moved in the same elite social circles. Yet, LeBron had to publicly distance himself from Magic's legacy as an executive, often praising the current front office and the path we are on with Rob Pelinka, the very man Magic had subtly accused of backstabbing. It was a strategic, necessary dance. He had to honor the legend without validating the executive, all while ensuring the owner felt he was fully her partner, not Magic's surrogate. This dynamic explains the careful, often cold public distance between LeBron and Magic in recent years. Their interactions are cordial but lack the warmth of a true mentorship. When Magic publicly criticizes the Lakers, or LeBron's supporting cast, as he has done repeatedly from his ESPN perch, it's not just media critique. In the context of the unhealed rift, each critique from Magic feels to the Buss inner circle like a former general publicly second-guessing the new regime, using LeBron as the vehicle. LeBron is stuck in the middle, forced to absorb criticism from a legend he respects, knowing that any robust defense of his own team would be seen as siding with Magic against the owner. He isn't just playing basketball, he's navigating a minefield of legacy politics where one misstep could reignite a war he never started. He knows why the owner never forgave Magic, because he lives every day with the consequences of that unforgiveness.
A lot of Lakers basketball. But that's why when we're having the conversation and I sit back and I say to myself, there is no other option. You got to make moves. And I know it sounds obvious, but do one or the other. The worst thing the Lakers can do is do nothing. And maybe if the idea and the concept is we're not good enough, so we're not going to get rid of these draft picks, okay, then start selling.
I got to give a huge shout out to Magic Johnson, who is saving lives because he recently donated blood to help elderly people in Florida nursing homes who are dealing with a new Omicron outbreak.
The silent Cold War between Jeanie Buss and Magic Johnson didn't stay contained. It bled out into the public sphere through a series of proxy battles and calculated leaks, with LeBron James often as the unwitting battlefield. These incidents reveal the depth of the lingering resentment and how it has actively shaped the Lakers' tumultuous recent history. The most telling proxy war has been fought through the media. Magic Johnson, from his platform as a television analyst, has become the Lakers' most high-profile and persistent critic. He doesn't just analyze games, he eviscerates roster construction, questions coaching decisions, and laments a perceived loss of Lakers standards. To the casual viewer, it's a legend being blunt, but within the halls of the Lakers' front office, each critique is received as a deliberate shot from the exiled king, a man using his megaphone to undermine the people who now hold his old chair, Jeanie's people. When Magic says the roster isn't good enough, Jeanie Buss hears, "The people you hired after me are failing." Conversely, leaks from Lakers sources often surface shortly after Magic's critiques. These leaks never attack Magic the player or icon. Instead, they subtly undermine Magic the executive. They remind the public of the chaos of his tenure, the unanswered phone calls, the cap complications he left behind. They paint the current front office's challenges as the inherited mess from a part-time, disengaged leader. This is Jeanie Buss's counter-narrative, fighting Magic's criticism not by defending the present, but by tarnishing his past. LeBron is caught squarely in the crossfire of this information war. When the team struggles, Magic's criticism often focuses on the lack of support around LeBron, a view that aligns with LeBron's own, often silent, frustrations. This puts LeBron in a bind. If he agrees, even implicitly, he sides with Magic against his employer. If he vehemently defends the front office, he alienates a segment of the fan base and a legend who speaks a truth he may privately share. His measured, non-committal responses to questions about roster construction are less about diplomacy and more about survival in this specific conflict. This toxic cycle of criticism and counterleak has created a permanent state of dysfunction. Every losing streak triggers a predictable sequence. Magic criticizes, the front office leaks defensively, the media frenzy grows, and the pressure on LeBron and the coaches intensifies. It's a game of grudge tennis, and the ball is the reputation of the Los Angeles Lakers.
LeBron James, the greatest player of his generation, isn't just trying to win basketball games. He's trying to win them for a franchise whose two most powerful elders are still fighting a war that ended in a hallway 5 years ago, using the present team as their ammunition. He knows why they can't move on, because he's the one living in the war zone their stalemate created.
The emotional call that you get one day from Magic telling you that he had sold his stake.
It was disappointing.
It affects you now, even thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he did very well for himself.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but the value has only gone up, and you can see
Westbrook, to me, got exposed. Westbrook is fraudulent because he's a stat machine who cares only about his personal stats.
The unhealed rift between Jeanie Buss and Magic Johnson is not a sidebar to recent Lakers history. It is the central, poisoning element that has actively prevented the franchise from achieving the stable, dynastic success it craves. This grudge has functioned like a legacy poison pill, sabotaging key decisions and creating an environment where long-term planning is impossible. After Magic's abrupt exit, Jeanie Buss's trust was shattered. Her subsequent empowerment of Rob Pelinka was as much about loyalty, he stood by her during the crisis, as it was about basketball acumen. The unspoken mandate became, never be another Magic. This bred a front office style that is reactive, image-conscious, and deeply fearful of big, bold, charismatic moves that might carry the faintest whiff of Magic's maverick approach. They chase safe, short-term fixes, like the Russell Westbrook trade, over cohesive, long-term building, in part because a visionary, culture-shifting plan requires a level of autonomous confidence that the trauma of Magic's betrayal has rendered unthinkable. The feud has also corrupted the franchise's relationship with its own history. Magic Johnson is the Lakers' second greatest ambassador, after Kobe, yet the organization cannot fully embrace him. His statue is outside, but his spirit is kept at arm's length. This creates a schizophrenia. They want to sell the legacy, the Showtime Magic, but they are terrified of the man who embodies it having any influence. This forces them to awkwardly sideline a legendary resource. LeBron James, a student of history, would naturally gravitate to Magic's insight, but the unspoken rules of the feud make that alliance dangerous. Thus, the franchise's greatest current asset is discouraged from consulting one of its greatest historical assets, all because of a personal wound. Most critically, the grudge has made the Los Angeles Lakers a fundamentally unstable place for a superstar of LeBron's stature. Superstars, especially in their twilight, crave a stable, focused, and unified environment. They need to trust that the organization is a well-oiled machine working in harmony toward a single goal. The Lakers, because of this eternal, silent civil war, cannot provide that. The instability isn't just about roster moves, it's in the very air. The owner is at war with the past. The front office is managing the owner's trauma. The media is a battleground for proxy fights. LeBron, the ultimate prize, was sold a partnership with a legend and an iconic brand. What he walked into was a family therapy session disguised as a basketball team. He knows why the owner never forgave Magic, because he feels the consequences every day, in the hesitant decision-making, in the defensive media leaks, in the impossible pressure to be the sole unifying force for a franchise that is, at its core, fundamentally disunified. The poison pill ensures that no matter how great the player, the Lakers will always be fighting the ghosts of their own past before they can conquer the present.
Which, of course, we all love to do, right? So when asked, is Rob the man for the job? And he kind of said, that's Jeannie's move or Jeannie's choice. Well, of course it's Jeannie's choice, but if Rob was your guy, I feel like you would have, even regardless of whether they would have ended up with him having a job or not, he would have said something like, Rob's great, Rob's done a great job. He just said, it's Jeannie's choice. He kind of...
Top three guys that are influencing Laker personnel decisions are literally three people that aren't doing.
We now arrive at the inescapable grim reality. The The rift between Jeanie Buss and Magic Johnson is not a problem to be solved. It is a permanent condition. It is the unbreakable stalemate that will govern the Lakers' future for as long as the current ownership holds power. This isn't about reconciliation, it's about managed dysfunction. And understanding this stalemate is the key to predicting the next decade of Lakers basketball. The stalemate exists because both parties are locked in by their own unyielding principles. For Jeanie Buss, forgiveness would mean absolving a betrayal that, in her view, endangered her family's legacy and humiliated her personally. To reintegrate Magic in any meaningful advisory capacity would be to admit his methods weren't the problem, her response to them was. It would undermine her entire leadership posture since 2019. Her power is now partially built on the post-Magic era. To bring him back would unravel that. For Magic Johnson, a full retreat or apology would mean accepting that his passionate personal style, the very style that made him Magic, was a flaw in the boardroom. It would be a repudiation of his own identity. Furthermore, to silently fade away would be to surrender his voice and his role as a custodian of Laker standards, a role he takes as seriously as any title. So he remains, the vocal ghost in the machine, unable to help from the inside, but unwilling to stay quiet on the outside. This stalemate holds the franchise's future hostage in two concrete ways. First, it guarantees perpetual instability. As long as Magic has a microphone and Jeanie has a front office, the proxy wars will continue. Every slump will trigger the cycle of criticism and defensive leaks, making it impossible to build a consistent positive culture. The head coach and players will always be working in a fishbowl cracked by internal conflict. Second, and more devastatingly, it limits the ceiling of the LeBron James era and beyond. Greatness at the highest level requires alignment from ownership down to the last man on the bench. The Lakers, because of this feud, are incapable of that alignment. They are trying to win a championship with their greatest legend working at cross purposes with their owner. This dysfunction has already cost them time, assets, and likely championship opportunities during LeBron's prime window. It will scare off the next transcendent free agent, who will look at the treatment of both Magic and the constant drama around LeBron and think, that is not a safe place to invest my prime. So, what have we learned? We learned that the Lakers' problems are not about basketball. They are about a betrayal so deep it fractured the soul of the franchise. Magic Johnson's hallway resignation wasn't just a career move, it was an emotional earthquake whose aftershocks are still rattling the foundation 5 years later. Jeanie Buss's inability to forgive isn't petty, it's the defense mechanism of a leader whose trust was obliterated in the most public way imaginable. And LeBron James? He is the lonely king who rules over a divided land. He knows why the owner never forgave Magic, because he signed up to play for a dynasty and instead became the mayor of a city with a permanent, unhealed civil war. His legacy in Los Angeles will be one of incredible individual triumph, but it will forever be shadowed by the question, what could he have done with a united franchise behind him? The final, haunting truth is this. The Lakers aren't being haunted by their past, they are being governed by a ghost. And until that ghost is either embraced or exorcised, the kingdom will never truly be at peace. This is the real story behind the Lakers' chaos. Subscribe for the next chapter in this never-ending saga of power, pride, and purple and gold.